Good evening. Thanks for joining us on India Business Hour. I'm Shireen Bhan. The headlines we're tracking tonight. Wall Street opens in the green for the fourth day running thanks to encouraging inflation data. Back home, the Sensex and the Nifty hit a record high in early trade, but a late sell-off wipes out gains. Wipro's revenues declined nearly 3% in Q1 on constant currency terms. The company guides for a tepid revenue growth in Q2 and even warns of another contraction. Shares of TCS rise after meeting muted estimates in Q1, even as the management sounds cautious about the near-term outlook. HCL Tech shares slide after a weak Q1. The company announces senior management will not get any increments this year. After hitting a 60-year high, water levels in the Yamuna continue to rise, causing flooding in several parts of Delhi. All schools and colleges shut for the week. Government officials asked to work from home. Entry of heavy vehicles restricted. Prime Minister Modi's two-day visit to France begins crucial collaboration on security, cybersecurity, space cooperation, civil nuclear partnership on the agenda. The Defence Acquisition Council clears the deal to buy 26 Rafale marine aircraft and 3 Scorpion submarines. Disney gives CEO Bob Iger 2 more years to find his successor. Extends his contract until the end of 2026. Iger tells CNBC he's open to selling television assets, which include ESPN, ABC and Star India, saying it may not be core to the company's future. Adds they want to remain in sports but are open-minded about potentially adding a strategic partner for the ESPN business. Crisis at BYJU'S forms a new advisory council with former SBI chairman Rajnish Kumar and Mohandas Pai, an early investor in BYJU'S. Rajnish Kumar tells CNBC-TV18 he's convinced in the entrepreneurial strength of the company's top brass. The move comes after 3 independent directors resigned from the board. India's monthly domestic air traffic grows 19% in June. Indigo expands leadership, crossing 63% market share. Akasa Air controls 4.9%, overtaking SpiceJet that slips to 4.4%. Air India Group's combined market share remains steady at about 26%. Russian drones attack Kyiv for the 3rd consecutive night, killing 1 and leaving 4 wounded. Ukraine says it shot down 20 drones and 2 cruise missiles this morning. The attacks coincided with the NATO summit in Lithuania, attended by Ukrainian President Zelensky. Hollywood braces for a first potential shutdown in 63 years. The Screen Actors Guild recommends joining the strike along with writers who at loggerheads with studios over new contracts. Well, straight to the day's market action. Big intraday swings and a sharp fall in the last hour saw the Wall Street ending with minor gains. Banks led the decline, with PSU banks being the big laggards today. The Sensex, the Nifty and the mid-cap index failing to hold on to record levels that they hit in intraday trade. Meanwhile, shares on Wall Street opening in the green for the 4th day running. Consumer inflation in the U.S. has declined to a 2-year low, with payroll data pointing to a slowing jobs market. Some economists are now predicting only 1 more rate hike from the U.S. Federal Reserve, so that's certainly cheered up sentiment on Wall Street. Back home, software major Wipro's first quarter revenue declined nearly 3% in Q1 on constant currency terms. The company's guidance projects a tepid revenue growth in Q2 and even warns of another contraction. Rima standing by with her analysis of Wipro's results. Rima.
Thanks so much for that. So it's a weak quarter, but in line with muted expectations. The street was not expecting fireworks this time, and it's been a weak performance. So constant currency revenue growth has contracted by 2.8% on a quarter-on-quarter basis. Now, Wipro had told us last quarter that in Q1, revenues for the company will either fall -1 or up to -3%. What the company has delivered at -2.8% is at the lower end of their own guidance and slightly worse than street expectations, which were at -2 to -2.2%. It's also worse compared to peers. So TCS had a flat growth this time, and HCL Tech had a -1.3 performance. The guidance for the next quarter is quite crucial, and here the company is guiding for -2 to +1%. So the good part in the guidance is at least they're holding out the possibility of a positive growth, because consensus expectations was that the guidance for the next quarter will either be 0 to 2 or from -1 to -3%, which basically means everyone was expecting for a negative growth in Q2. But at least Wipro is holding out the hope for a positive guidance. Margins have declined by 25 basis points. There is no wage hike impact, so the weakness in margins is purely because their revenues have contracted. Deal wins continue to be robust. This is something that we've seen across for the industry. Total bookings at $3.7 billion is slightly lower compared to what we had in the prior quarter, but the large deal bookings at $1.2 billion is a pickup on a sequential basis. I think the bigger miss and a telling sign in Wipro's numbers this time is the very sharp headcount addition. Headcount for the company has fallen by more than 7,000 employees on a quarter-on-quarter basis. We're looking at a big contraction in the company's headcount. Just to put it in context, TCS at least managed to increase their headcount by 500. For HCL Tech, it was a revenue headcount decline of 2,500. But for Wipro, at more than 7,000, this is a weak number. Attrition, as we've seen with the case of others, has fallen by 17.3%. Thierry Delaporte, CEO, MD of the company, says, despite a gradual reduction in clients' discretionary spending, we maintain new business momentum, basically referring to the deal wins that the company has announced. So all in all, it's a weak showing, but it's predictable, in line with what the street was anticipating.
Within, the range that we had, assumed 3 months ago, the reality is that, we continue to have a market where there's a demand for technology, where we have deals, where we actually sign more large deals than we used to sign in the past, and also a market where there's a reduction of discretionary spend across industries, in my mind. Now, with some industry probably more impacted than others, the banking, financial services sector, the communication sector, the technology industry, certainly. So I'm not sure, Rima, I would necessarily say that the market is worsening. I think we continue to be in this market where there's a certain level of uncertainty that drives some of the behaviors of our clients to be a little bit cautious when it comes to discretionary spend.
You spoke about the discretionary pressure being more in BFSI, tech, telecom. Do you think any of these verticals are close to bottoming out, Thierry?
In one way, I feel that a lot of the budget that have been set for this year have not necessarily been spent, and there might be a moment in time where some of the departments will decide to resume some of those unspent budget. It very much depends on what we are going to observe in the next few weeks. I mean, we are looking at it. The nature of a slightly more volatile market is that, decisions can come at, any moment in time. The reality is today, we are not necessarily seeing it, but we are not equally seeing any deterioration of the situation. It is more or less the same market that we have seen for the last, I would say, 3 to 6 months.
Well, that is Wipro. And like Wipro, TCS also reporting numbers in the first quarter that were muted, but in line with street expectations. Deal wins came in as the silver lining, staying above $10 billion for the second straight quarter. Speaking to CNBC-TV18, CEO Krithivasan said that while total contract value remains strong, he is unsure when macroeconomic uncertainties will subside.
Our position is like you saw, our TCV continued strong. But we do see that our volume growth in terms of revenue and it's persisting in variety. So it's too early to call, and also we don't know when the macro uncertainties will subside. And if somebody tells us that okay, it will subside by next quarter, we will say then from then on there will be more optimism.
That's TCS. And HCL Tech also reporting a big miss on both revenue and margin for the first quarter of FY24. Constant currency revenue slipping over 1%, contracted for the second quarter in a row. The company, however, has maintained its growth guidance for FY24. The MD and COC Vijay Kumar said challenges in the tech and telecom sector have hurt their overall performance, but he expects the business to recover from here on. Listen in.
We have challenges in tech and telecom because we saw some more ramp downs during the quarter, more than what we expected. And that's what has resulted in a decline in these two verticals, serious decline. But we do believe things will recover from here on. We've always maintained that our guidance is organic, so 6 to 8% is organic. Whatever contribution from ASAP will be incremental to the organic guidance numbers that we've shared.
Well, that's a roundup of the tech earnings, muted but in line with market estimates. Now, Prime Minister Modi has arrived in France for his two-day visit. He's scheduled to take part in the Bastille Day celebrations on the 14th of July as the guest of honour. India will also have its tri-services contingent joining French forces in the parade. During his two-day visit, the Prime Minister will hold discussions with the French President Emmanuel Macron and other French dignitaries. He's also set to interact with the Indian diaspora and top CEOs in France. And speaking of the Prime Minister's visit to France, the Defence Acquisition Council has approved the acquisition of 26 Rafale marine aircraft and 3 Scorpene submarines for the Indian Navy. Parikshit standing by with the details. Parikshit, big order being cleared for the Indian Navy by the Defence Acquisition Council. What are you picking up on what's next?
That's right. The Defence Acquisition Council has granted acceptance of necessity for 26 Rafale marine aircraft for the Indian Navy, 3 additional Scorpene submarines which will be manufactured at Mazgaon Dock Limited. Now, the pricing of these deals will be negotiated upon as a next step, and this could take a few months, but they will be announced during the Prime Minister's visit to France and after his meeting with President Macron. There are at least 5 to 6 defence deals which are under works. There are discussions on joint development of jet engines and helicopter engines as well. DRDO and HCL are having these discussions from the Indian side. We're also going to be seeing deals in the spheres of security cooperation, cybersecurity, space, civil nuclear partnership, hurdles on techno-commercial issues related to the Jaitapur nuclear power plant will also be discussed during this visit. Several top CEOs are attending the Indo-France CEOs Forum meeting. This includes Hari Bhartia, Amit Kalyani, Rahul Bhatia of Indigo, Sudarshan Venu of TVS Motor Company, Aman Gupta, CEO of Boat as well.
This is a path-breaking kind of a deal which has happened, but Rafale is an aircraft which is much, much more reliable. This is the first step. You see, the day before yesterday, the Defence Procurement Board had just given a green. Today, it was brought up into the Defence Acquisition Council, which means that the AON has been granted. Now, after this, it's let's be very clear, it's a government-to-government sale. So there is no way any shortcut can be taken.
Well, those are the deals that are expected to be inked during the Prime Minister's visit to France. In global news, Disney has given CEO Bob Iger 2 more years to find his successor. His contract has been extended till the end of 2026. In an interview with CNBC, Iger said he's open to selling television assets, which include ESPN, ABC and Star India, saying it may not be core to the company's future. He also said that they want to remain in sports, but are open-minded about potentially adding a strategic partner for the ESPN business. Listen in.
Let's talk about sports first, which obviously that's ESPN. If you look at today's media landscape, sports stands very, very tall in terms of its ability to convene millions and millions of people all at once. There's almost a guarantee that that occurs. It's an advertiser's dream. There's a great demographic there. It lends itself to technology in many ways, both in terms of coverage, distribution, and consumption. And our position in that business is very unique. We have a great brand. We've had a great business, and we want to stay in that business. That said, we're going to be open-minded there too, not necessarily about spinning ESPN off, but about looking for strategic partners that could either help us with distribution or content, but we want to stay in the sports business.
What would a strategic partner look like with distribution or content then for ESPN?
Well, I think you could, again, I'm not going to get too detailed about it, but we're bullish about sports in general as a media property. There is an inevitability, by the way, you raised it, to taking ESPN and direct-to-consumer.
Yeah.
We haven't said when, but we do know that it will happen.
Is it sooner than you had thought, let's even say 7 months ago?
No, I think I'm much more certain about when, but not prepared to say when that is. I won't say whether it's sooner or not, but I'm enthusiastic about it.
We're talking, I guess, ABC, the network, the stations, but then the cable networks as well.
Yes, correct.
FX, Nat Geo. Is it possible you would look to sell them?
We're going to be expansive. I think if you can interpret what that word means. We're just getting at that work, but we have to be open-minded and objective about the future of those businesses. Yes.
Meaning that they're not core to Disney?
That they may not be core to Disney, yeah. Now, there's clearly creativity and content that they create that is core to Disney, but the distribution model, the business model that forms the underpinning of that business and that has delivered great profits over the years.
Well, that's Disney's Bob Iger, his tenure being extended till 2026 end and looking at offloading what he believes are non-core businesses, which include linear TV. India's domestic air traffic rose 19% in the month of June compared to the same month last year. DGCA data shows that domestic airlines carried 1.24 crore passengers last month. However, domestic traffic in June fell 5.5% compared to May. Indigo and Air India witnessed a rise in market share for the second month in a row, while Vistara's market share fell 90 basis points. Former State Bank of India chairperson and BYJU'S investor Mohandas Pai will now join the newly constituted advisory council of the company. Speaking with CNBC-TV18, Rajnish Kumar expressed confidence in the top management. This comes after the resignation of 3 independent directors just a few weeks ago. Ritu joins us now with the details. Ritu, what does this now mean for BYJU'S? What did Rajnish Kumar tell you? He's joining this newly constituted advisory council, but why not the board?
That's right, BYJU'S has roped in TV Mohandas Pai and Rajnish Kumar on its newly constituted advisory council just weeks after we saw multiple board resignations at BYJU'S. Now, the company in a statement has said that this council is going to play a pivotal role in advising and mentoring both the board and the CEO very closely, and it underscores their commitment to enhancing financial governance mechanisms and leveraging expert advice to drive sustainable growth for BYJU'S and bring in fresh perspective and financial acumen to the company. We reached out to Rajnish Kumar to understand the rationale behind him joining a company at this time when BYJU'S is facing multiple headwinds. And Rajnish Kumar told me that his discussion with BYJU and Divya Ravindran, the founders of BYJU'S, showed him that there was a sincere effort on their part to course correct as far as governance was concerned, and he agreed to join the council to help them resolve these governance issues. He told me he'd done this at BharatPay in the past and would not shy away from helping other young entrepreneurs if the need arose, and he felt it was his duty to help young companies, especially as far as governance is concerned. When I asked him if he was concerned about the ED matter specifically, he said whatever had to be said was in public, and we'll see how the investigation proceeds. But as of now, he was convinced in the entrepreneurial spirit of the founders, and that it also helped that someone of the stature of Mohandas Pai had also agreed to join the advisory council. He clarified that he was not offered a board position. He was only offered an advisory role, which of course now he has undertaken. Mohandas Pai did not offer any separate comments, but in a statement released by BYJU'S, he was quoted as saying that Divya and Baiju Ravindran are among the most impressive entrepreneurs that he has ever worked with, and that he sees in them the drive to build the group into a successful corporation and looks forward to advising the leadership in evolving the systems of governance and financial reporting at BYJU'S. Now, we do know BYJU'S is facing multiple headwinds, whether it is repaying that large $1.2 billion loan, raising funds, the ongoing litigation with the lenders, the ED probe into FEMA violations, the board resignations, the change in auditors, and so on. So certainly there is a long way ahead, but the appointment of these two marquee names may help ease matters for the time being.
Ritu, many thanks for joining us. That is the latest as far as BYJU'S is concerned, setting up a newly constituted advisory council, bringing former SBI chief Rajnish Kumar and Mohandas Pai on board. We'll head into a break, but up next, after hitting a 60-year high, water levels in the Yamuna continue to rise, causing flooding in many parts of Delhi. Schools and colleges have been asked to be shut. Government officials asked to work from home. Details when we return.
कैसे करते हैं ट्रेड?
ट्राई 5 पैसा। अपकमिंग कॉर्पोरेट एक्शन या न्यूज़ फ्लो, किसका हुआ मर्जर, कौन है नया CEO?
फाइनेंशियल डेटा मिलेगा अब हाथों हाथ, फंडामेंटल एनालिसिस से अब बनेगी बात।
With 5 पैसा's in-depth company information, always stay up to date.
कैसे करते हैं ट्रेड?
सोच मत छोटे, install मार. Investment in securities market are subject to market risk. Read all related documents carefully before investing.
Several parts of Delhi remain flooded as an overflowing Yamuna inundated low-lying areas. The water level in the Yamuna in Delhi rose after the Hatnikund barrage in Haryana released water into the river. The Delhi government had urged the centre to intervene and stop the water discharge. The centre replied saying that excess water from the barrage had to be released downstream. The Delhi government has already restricted the entry of heavy goods vehicles except those carrying essential items into the city. All government officers except those on essential duties have been asked to work from home. Our team of reporters brings us a ground check of how the city is grappling with the floods.
This is the backside of Lal Killa, and till where you can see there's only water, and in fact from the point I can see the road, that bit of road is the flyover actually, and that is the elevated road, and in fact once that elevated road ends, then yet again you see the water all around this very area.
There you see the condition of Bhairo Marg. This is one important road that connects the ring road and the central Delhi. Whenever you are coming from Noida, you have limited options available as far as routes are concerned, and this is one of the prominent routes.
This is the Yamuna Bazaar area, and in fact you can see the NDRF officials carrying out the rescue work over here, and in fact this is the very team which is going inside that very place, because yesterday we reported from the bank of Yamuna Bazaar and we witnessed that the water levels were somewhere, they were not that high, but in fact the boats were already running. But now since yesterday, since the water levels have gone beyond 208 meters, the water has started to come inside this very road.
On my right is the road which leads towards the residence of Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal. But this is the main road on which we are currently standing, and needy water is something what we can see from this particular place.
कब से पानी यहाँ पे घुसा है?
ये सुबह 5 बजे। सुबह 5 बजे। 5 बजे से लेके भरना चालू हुआ और पूरा भर गया।
अंदर लाइट आ रही है, क्या स्थिति अगर आप बता?
सर अभी काट दी लाइट। अभी काट दी लाइट।
कितना अंदर, क्या घरों में?
नहीं, यहाँ तक भर गया सर।
घर के अंदर भी गया?
घर के अंदर भी गया। गाड़ियाँ डूब गई हैं, जितनी गाड़ियाँ देख रहे हैं सारी डूब गई हैं।
The entire Chhat Puja Ghat located on Yamuna's bank in Delhi has been submerged in water. The government has taken ample rearguard measures to ensure no loss of lives and property in Delhi, even as the water level in Yamuna in Delhi is expected to rise to 208.75 meters by the end of today and is expected to abate thereafter. The government has asked all schools, colleges and non-essential government offices to remain closed till Sunday. Several other measures have been undertaken by the state government, which involves evacuation of several people living on the embankments and floodplains of the Yamuna River. The Delhi government had earlier requested the centre to not allow any further release of Yamuna's river water from the Hatnikund barrage in Haryana. So clearly it's a wait-and-watch situation, not just for Delhi, but also for several other North Indian states.
Well, that is the situation across the capital. On to global news. In an overnight drone attack by Russia, at least one person killed and 4 injured in the Ukrainian capital of Kyiv, as per Reuters. Now, Ukraine authorities claim that Russia has been involved in a drone attack for a third day in a row. Further, authorities claim it shot down 20 drones and 2 missiles launched by Russia. After arguing for months over the risks of artificial intelligence, billionaire Elon Musk has launched a startup in the AI space. He took to Twitter to announce his latest offering, XAI, taking on OpenAI's chatbot ChatGPT. Musk said the goal was to understand the true nature of the universe. The new firm will include a team of engineers who worked with companies like Google, Microsoft and OpenAI in the past. Hollywood braces for a first potential shutdown in 63 years. Screen Actors Guild recommends joining the strike along with writers who are at loggerheads with studios over new contracts. Fox News in the midst of another defamation lawsuit after a Trump supporter sued the network for defamation. The lawsuit filed by Ray Epps alleges that former host Tucker Carlson falsely accused him of being an undercover FBI agent who orchestrated the January 6th U.S. Capitol attack. This comes a month after the network's parent company settled a defamation lawsuit for $797 million with the Dominion voting systems. Well, with that, it is time for us to wrap up this edition of India Business Hour. But before we go, in less than 20 hours, India will launch its third moon mission from Sriharikota. Chandrayaan-3 will aim for a soft landing on the lunar surface and explore it with a rover. Its journey is expected to last a little over a month. A successful mission will make India the 4th country to achieve the feat. We leave you with these images.